Hello folks, Rob Dreemeyer here. Welcome to Broadway Barfly. Today we're talking about the musical Company and we're making a Vodka Stinger. If you're a theater fan who loves a great cocktail, click that subscribe button because Broadway Barfly is the channel for you. Company opened on Broadway in 1970. The score is by Stephen Sondheim. It was directed and produced by Hal Prince, and the book was by George Furth. In fact, Company was inspired by a collection of one-act plays that Furth wrote on the topic of marriage. He gave the plays to his friend Stephen Sondheim for some feedback, who in turn shared them with Hal Prince, who thought they would make a great idea for a musical, and so they got down to work and they created the musical Company. Company is also about marriage, but its central character is the 35-year-old bachelor named Bobby. Company doesn't have a linear plot, and similar to the one-act plays, it's a series of scenes where we see Bobby interacting with his married friends, and also we see some scenes of him dating. Company was considered groundbreaking in its day, not only because of its abstract storytelling, but also because it was one of the first musicals to really address adult contemporary themes such as marriage. The 1970 Broadway audience was mostly upper middle class New Yorkers, and the characters in Company are all upper middle class New Yorkers with upper middle class problems. So it was one of the first times where a Broadway audience went into a musical and actually saw versions of themselves on the stage. Company tried out in Boston prior to Broadway, and the critics were sort of split in their opinions. Some, of course, recognized its genius right away, but not all of them. There was one critic who famously said it would only appeal to matinee ladies, homos, and misogynists. He also said that he thought the songs were fairly undistinguished. Well, Company turned out to have a much greater appeal. It ran on Broadway for nearly 2 years and it won 6 Tony Awards. And the score to Company is anything but undistinguished. In fact, most people would tell you it's brilliant, both musically and lyrically. Sondheim was able to capture the frenetic energy of New York City and also the paradoxical emotions of isolation and loneliness in a city that's overcrowded with people. The score is so distinguished, in fact, that the filmmaker D.A. Pennebaker decided to make a documentary film on the recording session of the original Broadway cast album, which was a highly unusual thing to do. But if you've never seen that film, it's a must-see for any die-hard musical theater fan, because you get to see this really wonderful cast deliver their iconic performances. Now, albeit you see it in a recording studio and not on the stage, but the trade-off is that you get to see the personalities behind these performances, and you also get the rare opportunity to see people like Stephen Sondheim and Hal Prince at work actually doing their jobs, and that's a real treat. The film is surprisingly dramatic, and the drama comes towards the end when they're wrapping up for the evening, but they only have one track left to record, and that track is Elaine Stritch's 11 o'clock number, The Ladies Who Lunch. I won't say anything more about the film because I don't want to spoil it for you, but we do get our cocktail, the Vodka Stinger, from The Ladies Who Lunch. The Ladies Who Lunch is sung in the show towards the end, in one of the very last scenes of the show. And in that scene, Bobby is out on the town with his friends Joanne and Larry. They're a married couple, they're older and wealthier than Bobby. They've taken him out on the town and they're wrapping things up at a nightclub. Joanne is kind of drunk at this point and she's hurling insults at people. And all of this leads to her singing the show-stopping song, The Ladies Who Lunch. It starts out as sort of this mock toast to these people who really she holds in disdain. Here's to the ladies who lunch, everybody laugh, lounging in their caftans and planning a brunch on their own behalf. As the song progresses, she saves her sharpest barbs for the girls who just watch. Aren't they the best? When they get depressed, it's a bottle of scotch plus a little jest. Another chance to disapprove, another brilliant zinger, another reason not to move, another vodka stinger. The Stinger is a fairly old cocktail. It's thought to have come into existence sometime in the 1890s. It's also a fairly simple drink. It only has 2 ingredients, a spirit and a liqueur. In its earliest incarnations, the spirit usually would have been cognac or brandy, though it could be made with any spirit. But the liqueur is always creme de menthe, which is a sweet and minty liqueur, and it's that mint flavor that gives the Stinger its sting. Stingers were usually very closely associated with the wealthy and upper classes, and it was a very popular digestif or after-dinner drink. And in fact, to have ordered a Stinger cocktail before dinner in certain circles would have been considered very gauche. Folklore tells us that it was closely associated with the wealthy because it was said to have been the favorite cocktail of Reginald Vanderbilt, who of course is from the famously wealthy Vanderbilt family. He is said to enjoy this cocktail so much that whenever he would have parties, he would actually mix the drinks for his guests himself. In the end, I suspect that Reginald Vanderbilt probably enjoyed these cocktails a little too much because he died of cirrhosis of the liver at the young age of 45. A little side note on Reginald Vanderbilt, he had a very famous daughter named Gloria Vanderbilt, which makes him Anderson Cooper's grandfather. Who knew? Stinger cocktails really rose in popularity during the Prohibition years. They were no longer enjoyed by just the wealthy, and they were no longer had only after dinner. And I suspect that the popularity grew namely because by adding this sweet and minty creme de menthe to your spirit, you could mask the taste of some pretty questionable bootleg hooch. The vodka stinger we're going to make really wasn't all that popular until after Prohibition. It really rose in popularity in the 40s, 50s, and 60s during those mid-20th century years. And the reason for that is because vodka itself wasn't really all that prominent in the US until after Prohibition. The vodka stinger and stinger cocktails in general really fell out of favor pretty drastically in the mid-1970s. And I suspect the reason for that is because the youth counterculture of the time really had no interest in anything that their parents and grandparents enjoyed. I think it's a real testament to Stephen Sondheim's attention to detail that he has Joanne reference specifically a vodka stinger in The Ladies Who Lunch, because it really does help paint this picture when you have these women sipping a cocktail that's quickly falling out of fashion as they themselves fight for their own relevance. To make our vodka stinger, we need vodka and creme de menthe. This is a cocktail where I would suggest using a premium spirit or something that you would enjoy drinking by itself, because with only 2 ingredients, we're really relying on the spirit, in this case the vodka, to be the star of the show. Normally you would use white creme de menthe, which is clear, though if you wanted you could use the green. You would just have a green cocktail, but that might be fine if you really want to telegraph the fact that there is a mint flavor. I'm using our homemade creme de menthe, which is this pale green color because it's made with real mint leaves and not extract, and it also doesn't have any dye. In a previous video, I show you how it's made, and if you haven't already seen it, I hope you'll check it out. Creme de menthe is easy to make. It only requires a few ingredients. It doesn't take that long. And most importantly, you can make it in an amount that you'll actually use. The ratio for a stinger is typically 3 parts spirit to 1 part creme de menthe, though with only 2 ingredients, you can adjust that in one direction or another to suit your taste. I'm going to make this one a little bit spirit forward, as they say. So we're going to start by adding 2 1/4 ounces of vodka to our tin. And about 3/4 of an ounce of the creme de menthe. And now we're going to give this a good shake with ice. If you saw the video where we talk about the best practices of stirring versus shaking, you'll say, but wait a minute, this is a cocktail that should be stirred because both of the ingredients are alcoholic. And that is true, except I'm choosing to shake this cocktail for 2 reasons. One, by shaking it with the ice, we're going to be making it colder, and a vodka stinger is something that you really want as cold as you can get. And also, our homemade creme de menthe is a little bit on the syrupy side, so by shaking it, we can really get it to mix well with the vodka. We will strain this into our chilled cocktail glass. And there you have a vodka stinger. Now you could garnish this if you want with a sprig of mint, or some people might add a twist of lime. I sort of like its minimalist appearance, so I'm going to enjoy it just like this. As always, thank you for joining us here at Broadway Barfly. I hope you'll check out our other videos. We have all sorts of cocktail and show pairings. Of course, we have our videos where we make homemade liqueurs. And when and where possible, we post show clips of the Broadway shows so that you have something to enjoy while you sip your cocktail. Until the next time, cheers. If you enjoyed the video, why not give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends? Feel free to leave your comments and click that subscribe button because there's a lot more Broadway Barfly to come.